I click the links to the alternative platforms and join Gab and Discord. So as I get kicked off those alternative platforms, we can stay in touch, or the sport channel. Okay, so no more smart classes. Different people are different. That's what the bell curve is all about. Literally hate speech. In schools, you've got roughly Eurasians and Pox, different people, different scores. But in 1984 world, that's hate speech. These people don't want to believe that different people are different, not even to the point of saying that men are different from women. So boys now compete against girls in sports because that is inclusive. Seriously, check out the what's going on in Australia. The Australian schools are slowly abandoning sex divisions for equality. So boys are playing with girls, and they're kicking their ass. It's like you playing some sport where you're supposed to win by like 2 points and you're winning by 30 points. It's like, oh well, this is equality. Men and women are equal. This is what Australia is going through is, get ready, boys, because that's coming for us too. So here in this article, we've got academic kids and kids who are less academic. And I'm not saying smart and dumb kids, and I don't even mean that. I'm not saying that just to be nice, because yeah, there's a pretty good correlation between test scores and academic ability and general brain power, but it's not perfect, because you got some kids in school who are just not, they just don't care. They're there, and you just like you can't pay somebody. You can probably pay someone to pretend to care, but you can't force kids to care if they're just kind of checked out of school. But yeah, there is a pretty good correlation. But now you've got liberals who are seeing that school ability is pretty well correlated to, I'll say, origin, to get around the algorithm, and that doesn't fit with their narrative of everyone is precisely and accurately equal, which is kind of nonsense right from the start. So this is all good. Accelerated. Dear white people, find your Europid in-group preference. Here's the thing. All these, they're talking here about decentering whiteness and all this other kind of nonsense. Just turn that around on them and say, hey, European people are awesome. We need to center. We need to have spaces, safe spaces for European people. Turn everything around on them. Loudly, publicly, politely, but just turn their language around on them. Whatever they're saying about you, turn around and say it about them, and say you need to center European people. You need to make them, you feel they're marginalized and oppressed. And the thing is, they go, oh, no, they're not. You go, yes, but we feel they are. Thus they are. Because none of this is based on science. None of this is based on facts. This is based on feeling. So as long as you keep saying, European people need to advocate for themselves. They need to really find their in-group preference. That's when the shit will kind of hit the fan. They'll start panicking. But this is good. Accelerate this. All these other groups have tribalism. You're the only groups who don't. So, they're saying they want to decenter whiteness. Now is the perfect time to form European groups and recognize how awesome you are. Wash off the propaganda. Form European clubs and religions. Just let all this propaganda go. These people hate you. Don't listen to people that hate you. Anyway, so what they found out was progressive politics into schools. They want to change the curriculum to achieve equity, which, is kind of hard to do because different people are different, and that is literally hate speech. So they're canceling advanced middle school classes. Dr. Nathan Hoven. Challenge courses. Yeah, we've always had these throughout schools. After discussion, decisions were made to eliminate courses because they want to merge the material from the advanced classes, put the smart kids with the stupid kids. No offense, stupid kids. I was not one of those smart advanced classes, in case you're wondering. Shocking, I know. So they found that they excelled and performed beyond average students in their postgraduate careers and professional lives. That's where it comes to. Yeah, there's a pretty good correlation among people who find school very easy and do well in tests and everything that goes on with their life. In fact, there's another article on why college courses want to cancel the classics as a major, in case you don't know what the hell the classics are, because it was a pretty good correlation between people who went on to grad school, law school, med school, or whatever graduate program. The people who studied the classics and some sciences were very good in postgraduate post BS life, and also in whatever future career they decided, because it taught them how to think, how to break down language. Like if you know the nomenclature, you know half the battle. Nomenclature is the words used in a study. Like if you're studying botany, then you know all the words, the Greek and the Latin prefixes and suffixes, and that's in general, like beyond science and law or medicine. If you know the Greek and Latin prefixes and suffixes for the English language, you're going to know so much more, because you hear a new word and you hear the prefix and you're like, oh, I know what the prefix means. And then you hear the body of the word and you're like, oh, I remember this is also used in this other application. So by knowing the prefixes, you're able to piece language together. It puts you in such a better position than other people, which is why universities want to do away with the classics, people who study Greek and Latin, because it gives them to some degree, you can take people and make them smarter, and that terrifies. And also, there's probably going to be smart people are just going to go into the classics to start with. They'll go into science, one or the other, and that terrifies people. They don't want smart European kids getting smarter and taking positions of power away from their tribe. Okay, so now we're at the point with what they're doing in schools with this Bolshevik Revolution 2.0, or I guess in other countries it's probably on like 10.0, is you're going to have to do something radical, if that means homeschooling or forming local schools where you're teaching kids the classics, and you're teaching kids pro-European values, there's a lot of Asian kids who don't want this either, so you're going to have to, you're at a point where the schools are actually dangerous, and we're going to have to you can't just keep them in schools and complain. Like, yeah, complain if you have to keep them in schools, but if there's any way to homeschool them or to form your own private schools, it's not that hard it's not an insurmountable thing to say, okay, well, we've got someone's living room, like we can all pay X amount of dollars per month for for the hassle of teaching these kids in somebody's living room. And we can have a teacher who's, some full-time mom or somebody who is a smart cookie and who is down with this and wants to teach these kids how to think, not what to think. It's like, yeah, okay, we can all get together. You can jam like 20 or 30 kids in a living room, and we can pay you at whatever we can afford to pay you. It's like this will be your job to teach the kids how to think, classical literature. And I guarantee that those kids are going to outperform all these kids who are being taught critical theory. And it's like, I know that's a big hassle to say, oh, we're going to take over your living room and turn it into a school. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. There's no better solution than that. Is what it is. It's like, you're going to have to sacrifice if you want to beat this back. And sometimes the only way to beat this back is by leaving the system and homeschooling kids, or like I said, form these small micro schools with like 20 kids in a living room. If you get enough families together, you're going to find a mom who is smart and who wants to do it and is willing to do it, and then you find a group of people who are willing to pay for it, and that's that. Now you've got your own homeschool. Congratulations. I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to fix this by staying in a school where they hate European people. And it's like, well, if you identify as a European or even a Eurasian, because I guess this is kind of all against Eurasians, because Asians are also getting discriminated against. The thing is, Asians, they're taking their kids, they take their kids to after school tutors, where no matter what happens in the school, the kids are leaving class and they're going to tutors and then they're going home. So they're having school and in school, but it's like the schools are just a waste of time. If you're learning critical theory and the 619 project, this is just this kind of Zio Global Homo stuff. It's just you're wasting kids' times in school, where you could just be homeschooled, and you could, in that same 8-hour day, you could teach them the Greek and Latin and science and classic literature, how to think, not what to think. That's so critical. I remember when I got my BS, and it's like, that was the science courses, they repeatedly said that we're trying to teach you how to think, the scientific method, not what to think. And this was at a time when climatology was a big thing, and the professors there were saying, think for yourself. It's like, it's not, the science isn't in on this. It's like, people have been saying this for the past 100 years, and they've always been proven wrong. Think for yourself. Don't just jump on a train, which is a pretty good Pretty good terminology. Don't get on any trains. Anyway, the time to fight this is now. I mean, this is a past time to fight this. And I mean, everything they're saying about decentering whiteness, it's like that gives you the moral high ground to say, whoa, European people need to come together and form groups of in-group preference like these other groups have. We feel marginalized, oppressed, and disenfranchised. You're literally oppressed and disenfranchised. This is the evidence of it. I'm saying you need to bounce back. They push this wrecking ball in one direction, and it's time for it to swing back. And I mean, a lot of you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next episode.